right next to this. When they arrive, all they're going to find is the lodestone and nothing else. And while there is a piece of netherite inside of that, it's not like it's usable. And on top of the insult to injury, they're going to have to travel all those thousands of blocks right back home completely empty-handed. At first glance, this parkour jump looks impossible, and it basically is. That is, unless you jump at the exact right moment. And while we'll have built the system and know exactly when that moment is, when your friend's chasing after you, they're not going to be privy to it. Meaning that they fall into this one block gap and fall right. Why wouldn't they jump? There's water down there, must be safe. That is, until we push a button while we're down below, that sends a redstone signal so that a brown mushroom gets filled up with bone meal and create a roof over the water that they were supposed to land on. I mean, this is basically the same thing that Treen did at the bottom of the ravine in Manheim, except way more technical and reusable too. Just not reusable on the same thread. I doubt they'll be jumping down any other things after you pull this on them. At first glance, nothing looks dangerous about this. And really, that's true. Nothing looks dangerous about it, but the only reason is because we used a texture pack to switch out the TNT texture to look like other blocks. And now, when your friend comes over and puts on the texture pack and plays mini games, they're not going to be aware that all the grass blocks that they're standing on top of are actual TNT. And if you think this is too crazy to work, Planet Lord used this on Wreckcraft. And Wreckcraft's one of the most skeptical people that I know. So when your friend thinks it's just some regular stone and spruce blocks, as soon as you flip the switch or ignite it with flint and steel, they're going to be a little confused when that stone starts hissing. As of 1.20, Chisel Bookshelf's the newest container block that we have to play around with. But unlike a chest or a barrel where you have to hover over and see what's inside, these bookshelves have no visual difference between the different items that you place inside. And that's where the prank comes in. Now, we can use all of those enchanted books that your friends stacked up in their enchanted bookshelves, instead of filling up with junk books like Curse of Binding and all that. Now, it's not going to trick them into accidentally putting this on their armor, but it's also a way for them to tell they can play this prank until it's too late. And then we can run off with the many books in the meantime, and not have to worry about being caught. From this angle, my skin looks fine. And in actuality, we've flipped it around so that my textures for my skin are actually played on my back, which gives you a great way to mess with your friends. And to go one step further and keep up the facade, play in third-person mode with F5, then you can navigate while keeping your skin properly oriented. That is, until it's time for the big reveal and your friend thinks they're doing something behind your back, only for you to have been able to see the entire thing all along. Spawning the Wither makes for a pretty good prank, but it's also pretty destructive, and you don't want it to go around and then destroy your stuff after it destroys your friends. It means I get all that same scare without having to do any of the cleanup that's associated with it. All you have to do is afterwards you're going to spawn the Wither in the middle of your friend's house, but you make sure that you place the soul sand blocks above any non-air block. Maybe something like torches, grass, string, carpet, whatever. As long as it's not air, any of those will keep the Wither from actually spawning. Or you could also place down the 3 skulls of the Wither formation first, and then put in the T-shape underneath it. That'll also stop it from spawning. It checks the one of the last blocks placed, which should give you just the right amount of scarecrow to be able to scare your friends. And if it doesn't work, you can always just break one of those skulls and go the right way.
That sure scared them.
If you know that your friend plays around on lower render distances, then this is the perfect prank to play on them. All we gotta do is use a fishing rod or a bubble elevator to get them up into the world height, and then recreate Skyblock up here in the sky. I guess that part's obvious. So then, when your friend finally wakes up from going AFK, they'll think that they've logged onto an entirely different server. Or at the very least, they'll be very confused on how to get down. And honestly, speaking as someone who likes Skyblock, I wouldn't even be that angry if you played this on me. But if you set me up where I couldn't actually build a cobblestone generator, then we'd be having a different conversation. Here's how to make your friend's house a homie. Since most people have windows or openings, that you could very easily add some big eyes or a mustache to their build. And it's a lighthearted way to give them a laugh next time that they visit their base. You can even do what we've done in the past where you make the house into a looking eyes illusion. Where you stand from this point, the eyes are looking at you here, and walk underneath, and they'll still be looking at you. It's a great way to make their build come to life, literally. Making a shop on a server is a great way to make profit. But see, where most businesses go wrong is that they sell products that actually work. And that's how we're going to increase our profit margin. Since by having a weapons, armor, or tool shop where the items are dispensed out to your friends, we can have it so that they have no idea that they're actually buying tools that are almost near broken. At least until it's too late. And to make that armor even better, give it Curse of Binding, and then they'll really be stuck with having to wear it right until its bitter end. But luckily for them, that's coming soon. And the best part is that they can't even salvage the item back in an anvil, since once it's on them, it's on them. Another data pack that you can use to trick your friends is this one for vanilla tweaks. Since while the Warden itself would be pretty loud, I mean they have an attack called a Sonic Boom, that kind of gives it away. If you take a name tag and rename it to Silence Me, then when you add that on top of the Warden, it'll no longer make another noise for your friends to hear. And now the only thing that'll tip them off to the Warden nearby is the darkness effect, which is definitely noticeable, but it's also definitely confusing. So I think the prank still works either either way, especially if you manage to tuck one of these inside your friend's house. Then by the time they get the darkness effect and start wondering what's happening, it'll already be too late. Tinted glass is a very popular block to use now in mob spawners, which I think is too bad for our regular stained glass, and that's how we're gonna fix it. Since we use black stained glass in place of the tinted glass, they look visually very similar, except for one key difference. You know, the black stained glass actually doesn't stop the light level from coming in, and at that point they'll be very confused as to why their spawner farm stopped working, since even though it visually looks the same, it's just that little bit of light level that's able to throw the whole thing off. But it's their fault for needing a view in window. Here's how to turn your friend's giant piston door into way more of a domino effect. Since by just taking one of the pistons inside of the giant redstone or slime honey block door and turning it around, then all of a sudden all the slices of the door aren't moving in sync, which can then cause them to stick together and seize up the entire contraption, until eventually you have a cascading effect and the entire door falls apart. I mean, it's their fault for having that fancy of a door for their vaults. Having stuff to put inside the vault's already a flex. You don't need to also show off on the door to keep people out. Here's how iron helmets can be one of the most annoying items in Minecraft. Since taking a page out of Wreckcraft's book, you can place down 1,000 helmets inside of your friend's base, place them inside of item frames, armor stands, and every chest that they have. It's gonna take a long time to clean up. For one, helmets aren't stackable, and even the armor stands only stack up to 16, which is itself very annoying. And while it seems like it would cost a lot of iron to do this, that is true, but it's also not like the iron that they're gonna get out of it is very valuable. It's your diamond armor, whoever needs an iron helmet. And the most you get out of it is just a couple of measly iron nuggets, which is a far cry from the 5 iron ingots that you're spending otherwise. So if you have a proper iron farm and the time to set this up, it's a really effective prank to play on your friends. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video. So see if they're right. Have a good one. Alright?
There's a new top tier for members in the Fuel Rewards program that's next level rewarding. It's Platinum status. This is a world of savings, experiences, and offers. Dive into savings and save 10 cents per gallon every time you fill up at Shell. Plus, you'll double your in-store reward savings when you shop in the convenience store. Look forward to chances to win VIP sports
Minecraft world with clouds turned on and then turn them back off. And if you do that correctly, the clouds should stop moving on screen. That is, until you move. At which point they'll follow your every movement precisely. Which is more than a little creepy. I've heard of the hills having eyes, but I guess the clouds do too. In Snapshot 21W08B, you didn't have to use a budding amethyst to get more of this stuff, but instead, by placing a piston facing upwards with a slime block on top, all we had to do was line all faces of that slime block with a corresponding max amethyst chunk, so that when we activated the piston, it would duplicate all of the shards. Which, if you need a lot of tinted glass, could come in handy. But I can't say the same if you need a lot of spy glasses. Those are barely useful when you have one of them, let alone 65. Did you know Mojang made it so creepers can't explode at all? It's really no joke. We're just gonna have to go up to the build limit to test it out. Since in current versions of the game, if you were to get a creeper or an exploding TNT block up at Y level 320, then at that build height, you're not able to destroy any blocks. And the reason for that is that when the game checks to see if the block has the right resistance, it just returns null. After all, you're not supposed to be able to place blocks up here, so why should it explode? And that means all explosion spread is nullified as well. Back in Bedrock 1.19.2, if you were to place down any block in the middle of the water and then throw regular glass on top of it, then when you look through that glass item, it'll render the water behind it as completely transparent. And the same would also happen if you had an armor stand hold a glass block like this. And I think when Mojang tried to make this block transparent, they might have gone a little bit too far. But hey, it's handy for finding buried treasure. I must be a bad trainer, because no matter how many times I try to tame wolves, I can never get them to sit still. So the reason for that might just be because when you summon a wolf on top of a slime block and tame it, you can't actually get it to sit down. Since the way that the slime block works, it's a little bit less than a full block size. And that confuses the wolf's hitbox so that it sits down and then stands right back up. I can't say I blame them, I also don't want to sit down Nickelodeon gap. When you take a strider outside of lava, it's supposed to get cold. But when you put them in powdered snow, then they get warm again. At least that's how it happens on Bedrock. Which, even trying to think of a lore reason for why this happens now, none come to mind. They drop string, not leather, so there's no way they're safe from this. It's just a bug. In current versions of the game, it's still possible to open up a shulker box, even if it's going to collide with a block. And folks, the number of blocks this can happen with is too long to list off here. Really, just place any of these next to a shulker box, open it up, and you'll see something that looks far from intentional. But perhaps the most interesting is that it also doesn't break the blocks that it interacts with, which is nice of it. It only breaks some rolls, not the annoying ones. If you were to plant a mangrove propagule and then build a 9x9 cube solid of mud blocks above it, then when you use bone meal to grow that tree, realize that this is a rare case where the mangrove tree will actually destroy any mud block above it, which this is really just left in as a holdover so that the mangrove tree can grow its roots down into the mud below. But mud above the tree, that's a rare case, so I don't blame Mojang for not checking for this. The only time to really put mud in the air so they can dry it out on a dripstone. Here's how to use a bundle to duplicate all your diamonds. All you gotta do is lay out 9 diamonds in the craft. Crafting table to craft a diamond block, and then use the bundle to pick up the individual items in the crafting table. At that point, we still have our 9 diamonds in our inventory, but the diamond block will remain in the crafting table. And now we went from 9 diamonds to 18, giving you a short track to the new richest person on the server. I would just suggest moving. I don't think the IRS takes kindly to diamond duping. Who would win in a fight, the Ender Dragon or all these wardens? Well, it's confusing, which sounds like a cop-out, but when you look at it, the wardens will try to attack the Ender Dragon